Hello everyone, welcome to CodeSoft. In this video, we are going to talk about aggregate functions of SQL. Along with that, we will be looking into some basic query examples of SQL. So let's get started. Now, what exactly is an aggregate function? So an aggregate function is basically a mathematical function that is performed on certain set of values and then it returns us a value that is the main functionality of that particular aggregate function. Now suppose you're having these five aggregate functions, that is max, min, sum, count and count star, right? So suppose there is a table of data in which there is a column or field of marks and there are a lot of records in that table of different students scoring different marks, okay, and you want to find out that which student is actually getting the maximum marks in that table. So you can do it easily in a very short query using this aggregate function of max. Similarly, all the other aggregate functions can also be used with their respective functionality. So the aggregate functions are actually predefined mathematical functions used to shorten our queries. Okay, now you can see that the last two columns, the last two aggregate functions are count and count star. Now this might seem you a little bit confusing that both of them look quite similar, but there is a slight difference in both of them. So first, if I talk about count, so count actually skips null values present in the records. So if you look at the left table, the third record, the name is having a null value, right? So if I want to count the name, all the name records present in the table, the count will return me only 3. Now, if I other on the other hand, if I talk about the count star, so count star actually also counts the null value that is present in the table. So for the same table with a null value present, it will return me the value 4 for count star while 3 for count. So this is the basic or simple difference between both of these terms. Now let's look at certain query examples with which we can actually explain what is the use of aggregate function. So you can see there is a sample table present. This is the same table that we are using so far, right? So let's look at some basic query examples. So first one is that we need to find out the branch and name of students with the ID equals to 5, right? So this is very easy. Now let's come back to our query editor. So if I have to query this, so what the question says is that I want to find out the branch and name of the student with the ID 5. Now this ID equals to 5 is actually a condition, and we have seen that whenever there is a condition we use the where keyword. Okay, now first we will just do select, and what we have to select is the name and the branch, right? Select name comma branch from our table name, that is students, where id equals to 5. So you can see this is the whole query for this particular example. We are retrieving the name and branch from students table where id equals to 5. Pretty easy. If I run this command, this is actually returning me the name and branch, that is Jack and Mechanical. And if I look at my table, yes, with the ID 5, I have Jack and Mechanical. So this is the correct answer to the query. Now the next question is I have to count the number of records that are present in the table. So suppose I want to count the number of records. I have certain aggregate functions that can be used. So I just have to do select count star from students. So this will give me an answer of 5. Yes, because we are having 5 records in the table, this can easily give me 5. So this is done. So the next example is find the maximum and minimum ID of students present in the table. So if I look at this table, the maximum ID will be 5 and the minimum ID will be 1, right? So I can apply this thing onto the table. So what I have to do is select maximum. Inside bracket, I have to mention the field in which I want to find the maximum value. So that will be ID and from the table name from table students. So I think this will work fine. If I run the statement, you can see I'm getting 5 and 5 is the maximum ID in the table. So this is the correct query. Similarly, if I do minimum, it should return me the minimum query of the ID. Yes, it is giving me an output of 1. So 1 is the minimum ID. I can also do a sum operation on this. So if I do sum of IDs that are present in the table, and it is giving me 15. So if I'll sum all of these IDs, it will give me 15. So you can clearly see that how easily with the help of these aggregate functions, we can reduce our queries and also fetch the output very easily. So I think that's all with this video. Keep adding more festoons into your knowledge garland. Until then, keep subscribing.